Shall we start?
Yes.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Aqaid al-Imamiyya by the late Sheikh Mudaffar Rahmatullah alayh. Article 5, Aqidatuna Fillah Ta'ala. Our belief about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We already studied 2 paragraphs. Now we can continue with the 3rd paragraph. كما لا ند له ولا شبه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no nid. In the Quran we have andad, which is plural. He has no similars. There is nothing which is similar to him, which is like him, which is shibh, again similar. Wala dhid. There is also nothing which is opposite to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because there is only Allah as the originator and whatever comes from him. There is nothing to be other than him, parallel to him, which can challenge him, which can oppose him, or at least even be different. Neither he has enemy nor he has a partner or a friend who is at his level. Yes, وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. He may choose one of his servants as his friend. But this is different from having sahibah. He has no partner or a friend who is at his level or independent from him. So la dhidda lahu, there is no opposite to him. We have discussed this in Kashf al-Murad and also in philosophy. Wala sahibata lahu. God has no wife, no spouse, wala walad, or a child. Wala sharik, no partner. Basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in his level, is one. There's a beautiful saying of philosophers, when we say, Kan Allah walam yakun ma'ahu shay, it was Allah and nothing else. Then they say, Wal'an kama kan, and now is the same. It's not just in eternity Allah was alone. Even now, he is alone. Because we are not able to be giving him company. He is one. We are all under him. So, nothing like a friend, a spouse, or an enemy. Because both of them mean something at his level. لا تدعوا مع الله أحد. You should not call or worship anyone at his level. مع Allah. Yes, under God there are many. But at the level of God, let alone above God, nothing. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا or كُفًا أَحَدٌ. There is no one similar to him. He has no kufa. لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار. Eyes cannot grasp him, cannot perceive him. He would perceive eyes and visions. Because when you perceive something, you somehow embrace it, you somehow encompass it. But if something is greater than you, how can you perceive it? وَمَنْ قَالَ بِالتَّشْبِيهِ فِي خَلْقِهِ. You know, there were some people that they were called mushabbiha. They believed in tashbih, means they believed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is similar to some of his creatures. For example, similar to human beings. He has a hand, or he has face, or in different traditions, in Judaism, Christianity, in Islam. There were some people who had this idea. Mujassima also are people who believe that God is just. Mushabbah means they likened him to some of his creations, like human beings, for example, or etc. And also we have anthropomorphism, means to think of God like a human being, like a Superman. Man qala bit-tashbih fi khalqih. Whoever believes that God is like some of his creatures, بأن صور له وجها ويدا وعينا. They describe for God and suppose for God a face, hand, physical face. We say wajhullah, but we don't mean it in the physical material sense. We say yadullah fawqa aydihim, but we don't take it in the sense of physical hand. But these people took it literally. They said God has face, God has hand, God has eye. أو أنه ينزل إلى السماء الدنيا. They thought God comes down, descends to the lowest sky, which is just above the earth, where the stars are. لقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح. So this sky that has stars is the lowest sky, and above that we have 6 more skies or heavens. So some people thought that Allah may not come to dunya, but he may come down to the lowest sky. أو أنه يظهر إلى أهل الجنة. They said Allah appears to the people of heaven like كالقمر, like moon, like a physical object. أو نحو ذلك, or similar to that. فإنه بمنزلة الكافر به. Such people who believe in tashbih, they are like people who have not believed in God. Yes, they say we believe in God, but they are like them. We don't want to say that they are kafir necessarily, because it's a very complicated issue. We have to see whether this is self-evident, this is daruri min daruriyat ad-din that they deny or not. Maybe some people, for them this was not very clear. Anyway, that's a scholarly discussion. But بمنزلة الكافر, at least they are like people who don't believe in God. Because God that we should believe in is God of all and God of the universe. So cannot be inside the universe, cannot be seen by anything from this universe. He is above everything. جاهل بحقيقة الخالق. Such people who do tashbih, they are ignorant about the reality of the Creator. Al-Munazzah an al-Naqs, our Creator is glorified, is free from any imperfection, from any deficiency. بل كلما ميزناه بأوهامنا في أدق معانيه فهو مخلوق مصنوع مثلنا مردود إلينا على حد تعبير الإمام الباقر عليه السلام. There's a famous hadith from Imam Baqir alayhi salam, كلما ميزتموه, بأوهامكم في أدق معانيه فهو مخلوق مثلكم مردود إليكم. So he refers to that hadith, that no matter how much you try to articulate, how much you try to be careful, still whatever you come up as a description of God, it is your creation and it's coming back to you. It's not God. It's something coming from you. This is a creation like you and should, be sent back to you. Mardudun ilaykum, sent back to you. This is not God. And Sheikh Muzaffar says, وَمَا أَجَلَّهُ مِنْ تَعْبِيرٍ حَكِيمٍ. What a great, wise expression is this. وَمَا أَبْعَدَهُ مِنْ مَرْمًا عِلْمِيًّا دَقِيقٍ. And what a far-reaching, scholarly, precise expression is this. That no description of you can do justice to God. Sometime in Aqaid I have mentioned this, that Amir al-Mu'minin says, if you ask an ant to describe God, the maximum the ant might think that God is a giant ant. For ants, having antenna is very important. So I think God has a much bigger antenna than mine. Maybe much stronger legs than mine. We also many times think of God as just like a Superman, like a hero, for example. Someone who is in the sky, watching all of us. This is our creation. This is why whenever we describe God, we should do also tasbih. We should say God is to be glorified. God is greater than this. Imam alayhi salam said, Allahu Akbar means Allahu Akbar min an yusaf. Is greater than any description. You cannot describe him. The only people who can describe him are mukhlasun. Mukhlasun, subhanallah amma yasifun illa ibadallah al-mukhlasin, they are purified. They no longer think like a human being. They are able to distance themselves from themselves and look at everything in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at things. They love like Allah all creation. Apart from them, every description has to be accompanied by subhanallah. He is greater than my description. وَكَذَا يَلْحَقُ بِالْكَافِرِ مَنْ قَالَ. In the similar way that mushabbaha are like kafar, another group that are like kuffar, you're not saying definitely kafir, but يَلْحَقُ بِالْكُفَّارِ can be joined. Those who said إِنَّهُ يُتَرَاءَ لِخَلْقِهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. They say God in the hereafter can be seen. We had a discussion recently in Kashf al-Murad about visibility of God, and we said that Ash'arites had this idea that Allah can be seen, but not in dunya, in the hereafter. But they say it's possible in dunya, but it doesn't happen. In the hereafter it happens. So there are people who say that God can be seen on the Day of Judgment, and still they say, but he's not a jism. Sheikh Muzaffar says, this is laqlaqa fil lisan. وَإِنْ نَفَى عَنْهُ التَّشْبِيهَ بِالْجِسْمِ لَقْلَقَةً فِي اللِّسَانِ. This is like what they pay lip service. But how can you say God is not jism and then he can be seen? فَإِنَّ أَمْثَالَ هَؤُلَاءِ الْمُدَّعِينَ جمدوا على ظواهر الألفاظ في القرآن الكريم أو الحديث. The problem is that they have taken some texts of the Quran and Hadith literally, and they have limited themselves to the literal meaning of the verses or some Hadith, like Yadullah, for example, جاء ربك, things like, for example, وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة. So they have taken such things, liqa, for example, of God, وَأَنْكَرُوا عُقُولَهُمْ وَتَرَكُوهَا وَرَاءَ ظُهُورِهِمْ. They have denied their aql, means they didn't believe, they didn't recognize aql, and left aql behind their back. فَلَمْ يَسْتَطِيعُوا أَنْ يَتَصَرَّفُوا بِالظَّوَاهِرِ. They have not been able to handle and deal with the apparent and with the apparent outward meaning of the text, the scripture, according to what aql requires, rulings of language requires. There is a metaphor in language, there is sometimes metaphorical usage. لم يستطيعوا أن يتصرفوا بالظواهر حسب ما يقتضيه النظر والدليل وقواعد الاستعارة والمجاز. They have not been able to deal with apparent meanings or outward meanings according to what another means, according to what a scholarly opinion requires, a dalil, what references that we have required, what rules of al-ista'ara and majaz require, the metaphor. Ista'ara is a type of majaz when the reason for metaphor is shabaha, is similarity. For example, someone says, رَأَيْتُ أَسَدًا فِي الْحَمَّامِ. In the bath, I saw a lion. When there was public bath, someone comes out and says, I saw a lion in the bath. So it's obvious that he didn't see lion as an animal. He means a brave person, رَجُلُ شُجَاعٍ. This is called ista'ara. He has used lion for a brave person because there is similarity in bravery. So you have to understand that when in the Quran and Hadith expressions such as yad or waj or ayn are used for God, they are taken not in a literal meaning and real meaning. They are taken in a metaphoric meaning. Number 6, Article 6, after talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in general and establishing his existence and some of the major aspects, now is the time to focus more on tawheed, on unity of God, monotheism. نعتقد بأنه يجب توحيد الله من جميع الجهات. We Shia believe that Allah must be believed to be one. We have to recognize him and acknowledge him, because tawheed, one of the meanings of tawheed means to find something to be one. So we Shia believe that God is one from every aspect. Zati, Sifati, Af'ali, Ibadi, from every aspect that inshallah we are going to discuss, God is one. He focuses more on Tawheed with respect to essence, Tawheed with respect to attributes, Tawheed with respect to obedience. So, فَكَمَا يَجِبُ تَوْحِيدُهُ فِي الذَّاتِ وَنَعْتَقِدُ بَأَنَّهُ وَاحِدٌ فِي ذَاتِهِ وَوُجُوبِ وُجُودِهِ كَذَلِكَ يجب ثانيا توحيده في الصفات. In the same way that it is necessary to believe that God in his essence is one, and we believe that He is one in His essence, and He is one in being necessary being. Wajibul wujud means He's the only one that must exist. Any beings is contingent, can exist and can not exist. Their existence comes from outside. كل ممكن متساو النسبة إلى الوجود والعدم. Every contingent being has equal relation to existence and non-existence. If they exist, it's because of something outside, something external. If they don't exist, also it's because of something external. Because in their essence, they can be there and they can also be non-existent. It is only God who is wajibul wujud bi-dhatihi. So, this is Tawheed al-Dhati. But there is another dimension of Tawheed. يجب ثانيا توحيد في الصفات. We believe also in Tawheed al-Sifati. Tawheed with respect to Sifat of God, qualities of God. وذلك بالاعتقاد بأن الصفات هي عين ذاته كما سيأتي بيان ذلك. وبالاعتقاد بأنه لا شبه له في صفاته الذاتية. Tawheed al-Sifati means that Allah's qualities are the same as each other and the same as His essence. They are identical to each other and identical with His essence in existence. Concepts are different. Knowledge of God, power of God, conceptually are different. When we say God's knowledge, God's power, we mean two different things. But do we have two different beings? One is knowledge of God, another one is power of God. And then I have a third being, which is the essence of God. Some people thought yes. Some people had the idea that we have 8 eternal things. Ash'arites has the idea, Qudama al-Thamaniya. 8 eternal beings, God's essence and 7 qualities. But this is wrong. This is shirk. Plus, this means that God in His essence lacks knowledge and power and will and life. How can you say that? It's one being. From the same being, you can abstract different notions. You can abstract notion of knowledge or power or wisdom or will or life, or you say Sami or Basir. It's the same essence. So we believe that His qualities are the same as His essence, as it will be coming later. And we also believe that there is nothing similar to Him in His essential qualities. For example, knowledge is one of the essential qualities of God. Nothing is like Him in His knowledge. Qudra, one of the power, one of the essential qualities of God. Nothing is like God in His power. لا نظير له. وفي الخلق والرزق وفي الخلق والرزق لا شريك له. In creation, which is outside. Now we are talking about صفات الفعل, not صفات الذاتية, qualities of action. خلق is a quality of action. Khalq is a concept that can be understood when you consider something created by Allah and its relation with Allah. You say Allah created this, or Allah gave sustenance. So Khalq, Razaqiyya, Khaliqiyya, Ghafiriyya, these are all qualities of action. Even ilm can be quality of essence and quality of action. So, وَفِي الْخَلْقِ وَالرِّزْقِ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ. In creation, ex nihilo, means creation not from anything. He has no similar. If we create something, or if we say, فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ, we use plural, creators. This is when we mean by creation something more general. Something that includes Allah's creation and something that includes creation of Isa alayhi salam بإذن الله تخلق من الطين كهيئة الطير بإذني and creation of other ordinary human beings, which they just take something and change the form. In this broad sense of khalq. Otherwise, the real khaliqiyya is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَفِي كُلِّ كَمَالٍ لَا ضِدَّ لَهُ. In every perfection, he has no similar. Okay, we talked about Tawheed al-Zati, Tawheed al-Sifati. He doesn't talk that much about Tawheed al-Af'ali here, which means that we believe everything that happens in an action of God. لا مؤثر في الوجود إلا الله. Nothing can do anything. Nothing happens in this world. No one is born or dies except by God. Of course, there's a hierarchy under God. Other agents can come. Angels can come. Human beings can come. Physical, chemical factors can come. Animals may have some role. There's a hierarchy, but everything that happens at the end is an action of God. This is Tawhid Af'ali. He doesn't emphasize on it here now. So he goes to the next dimension, and that is Tawheed fil Ibadah. Means to believe that he is the only one who deserves and should be worshipped. فلا تجوز عبادة غيره بوجه من الوجوه. In no ways anyone else can be worshipped. وكذا إشراكه في العبادة في أي نوع من أنواع العبادة. Not only we cannot worship anyone else, we cannot associate anyone else to God in our worship as a partner. For example, I do my salat 90% for God, 10% for people. 90% for God, 10% to keep my father happy. No. Everything must be 100% for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, to have a kind of partner for God in ibadah, to associate someone to him in ibadah, any kind of ibadah, is not permissible. Whether ibadah is wajiba or ghair wajiba, is obligatory or mustahab. You do your nawafil, again your niyyah must be for the sake of Allah, qurbatan ila Allah. Salat wa ghayruha, fasting the same, hajj the same, khums the same. If you give khums but you don't have pure intention, it's not accepted. وَمَنْ أَشْرَكَ فِي الْعِبَادَةِ غَيْرَهُ فَهُوَ مُشْرِكٌ. If anyone associates a partner to God in ibadah, he is a polytheist. Maybe he understands, maybe he doesn't understand. Maybe it's a very hidden shirk, like showing off. That maybe he's a Muslim, but suffers from this shirk khafi, hidden shirk. كَمَنْ يُرَائِي فِي عِبَادَتِهِ. Like the one who is showing off in his ibadah. وَيَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَىٰ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And is indeed seeking nearness to people, to someone other than God. وَحُكْمُهُ حُكْمُ مَنْ يَعْبُدُ الْأَصْنَامَ وَالْأَوْثَانَ. The person who worships for the sake of his boss or his, family or friends or community, is like idol worshipper. It's not literally idol, he's not idol worshipper literally, but it's like that. Hukmu, it's the same thing applies to such person. La farqa bainahum. There's not that much big difference between them. Now, if you believe in Tawheed, and in particular in Tawheed in Ibadah, then why you go and pay respect to some dead personalities? Why you visit, graves of Prophet and Ahlul Bayat and some holy people? This idea of some Salafis, some Wahhabis, who follow Ibn Taymiyyah and some other Hanbali scholars, not all of them, is something that inshallah we discuss in the next session. So we will clarify that this is not in conflict with Tawheed and has nothing to do actually with Tawheed or Shirk. And whether you call upon Rasulullah for help during his life or after his life, it doesn't make it Tawheed and Shirk. If you don't believe Rasulullah after his death is alive, which is questionable, but still it doesn't make it Shirk. If I do tawassul to Rasulullah during his life or after his life, it's the same and none of them is Shirk. If you have problem with Rasulullah being able to do something for us after he dies, which is wrong, but if you have problem, it's not problem of Shirk. You can't just say that this is not useful, this is not going to work. In any case, inshallah, we will talk about this in the next session. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Sheikh, for a very informative fifth night.
You're welcome.
We have about 15 minutes for Q&A. The first question is, why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala subject people to tests if he already knows the end result in his infinite knowledge?
Yes. This comes inshallah later about why there is taklif and adl, but it's a good question. I can shortly say, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything, but there must be something that he knows. For example, he knows who is going to be getting the best result. Okay. Now we say, okay, because he knows who is going to get the best result in the exam, we are canceling exam. If exam is not going to happen and it's cancelled, so we don't have anyone who gets any result, let alone to have someone who has got the best result. So this is like, somehow we are erasing the whole issue. So he knows everything, not because he forces us to go by his knowledge. He knows everything because for him past, present, future are the same. Otherwise his knowledge always goes by the subject. No knowledge logically comes in order prior to what is known. So he knows what I'm going to do because I'm going to do it, and then he knows it in advance. Number two, we human beings are built, we develop ourselves in these trials. If there is no trial, we don't learn. We should not think Allah's exams are like exams of the school in the final, year, for example, of the university, or final month of the academic year, you have exams. And normally, whatever you have learned or not learned remains the same. It's just formality that you must pass some exam and have some marks, for record. No. Allah's exams are throughout the learning period process, and it is through exams that we get the means to continue to build ourselves, to get lessons from our mistakes. We get lots of lessons from the way other people positively or negatively pass these exams. So he has knowledge, but his knowledge would not interfere in the running of the world, and in particular in our ability to exercise our free will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is a question relating to the topic of maraja from a couple of days ago.
Yes.
So why do other maraja exist if everyone has to follow the most a'lam? Does that mean it is essentially wrong, for example, to switch from Sayyid Sistani to Imam Khamenei if you choose to say it's Sistani because your parents told you to do so without research?
I don't comment on any particular personality, but if you remember, first of all, I said Mujtahid doesn't need to be a'lam for himself. So a Mujtahid, because now has his scholarly opinion, which is acknowledged and approved by great teachers and scholars, for him taqlid is haram. A Mujtahid cannot do taqlid of even a'lam, because Mujtahid has opinion. He is sure about his opinion. If he doesn't have opinion, he's ihtiyat, doing ihtiyat wajib, he can refer to a'lam. But if Mujtahid is Mujtahid, doesn't need to be a'lam for himself. It's number one. Number two, for muqalladeen, the mainstream view, and as I said, to be on the safe side, we should follow a'lam. Although there have been some people who said it's not necessary to follow a'lam, it can be any mujtahid who is jami', but the majority say it has to be a'lam. Okay, some people believe that A is a'lam, some people believe that B is a'lam, and they have evidence. We cannot force people. Mujtahideen also themselves the same. Mujtahideen, if they believe, please listen very carefully. If a mujtahid believes that taqlid must be of a'lam, and he doesn't see himself to be a'lam, he doesn't have right to share his fatwas and basically undertake the position of marja'iyah. Any person who makes himself available as marja', if he believes that taqlid of a'lam is necessary, means that he believes that he is a'lam. And some of them actually believe that for qualified mujtahid, it is necessary to share his fatwa, because there are two ideas. One is that as long as there are other people who can take care of this position, I don't need to present myself. We have other maraja, they are doing this job properly, I don't need to present myself. But there is another view that if you are a'lam and you don't share your fatwas, you are hiding knowledge, you are hiding your testimony. This would be one of the instances of kitmanul ilm, kitmanul shahada. So therefore, some mujtahideen have this idea that they have to present themselves, they have to make themselves available. Some have the idea that if there is a need, because wajib kifai. But in both cases, it can only happen if they believe that they are the most knowledgeable, if a'lamiyah for them is a condition. If they don't believe a'lam is condition, they can make themselves available even if they are not thinking they are a'lam. But most of Maraj, as you know, they believe a'lami is a condition. Therefore, the reason they have made themselves available is because they believe they are a'lam. But this is not out of any pride or arrogance. This is a very difficult position because they know something, they cannot hide it, they have to be honest. Here you cannot, do, as we say in Farsi, ta'aruf. If you have reached that position, it's necessary to be honest and express it. Especially if your fatwa is that this is a case of not hiding knowledge and not hiding your witness or testimony.
Thank you. I think
You're
we have
welcome.
time for one more question.
Yes.
How can we say God is both all merciful and Al Jabbar, for example, at the same time? Are those not contradictory as concepts if we say that his state does not change?
Uh, Jabbar actually doesn't have any conflict with merciful because Jabbar means all dominant. There are uh, different meanings for Jabbar, and Jabir is اسم فاعل, Jabbar is صيغة مبالغة. Sometimes means someone who is very dominant and has sovereignty, and sometimes means the one who compensates and restores. For example, we say to Allah, Ya Jabir al-Azm al-Kasir, or the one who restores the broken bone. So from Jubran means to restore, to compensate. So whether it's used in this sense or it's used in the sense of being in power and position and dominant, it wouldn't conflict with mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because He has mercy at the same time that He has power.
Thank you. I think we have
You're
time for one more actually. How can a person get his heart attached to God and strengthen his relationship with God?
Yeah, very good question. If we want to attach our heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first step is to detach our heart from anything which is in conflict with this. Al-qalbu haramullah. In Hadith Qudsi, the one saying, we read, heart is the sanctuary of Allah. لا تسكن حرم الله غير الله. If I put dunya in my heart, like love for money, for position, for fame, then I cannot expect Allah also dwells in my heart. You have left your heart without any room and space. And we don't have two hearts. ما جعل الله لرجل من قلبين في جوفه. Allah has not given us two hearts. One heart to be dedicated to God, one heart to be dedicated to dunya. No, we have only one heart. If you give it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then under Him you can love other things. But if you give it to anything other than Allah, it would be restricting. If I, for example, only love my job, I love my, I don't know, money, I love my children, I love my tribe, I love my, country, only. That's the only thing that matters. That's my ultimate end. Then I cannot love anything else. But if I love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I can love my children, I can love my family, I can love my country, but without excluding other things in an inclusive way. Of course, with different orders, with different priorities, there are lots of things there, but as Allah loves all creation, otherwise He wouldn't have created them, we would be able to love everything. Farsi poet says, به جهان خرم از آنم که جهان خرم از اوست. I am very happy with this world because this world is blessed by Him and Allah is happy with this world, otherwise He wouldn't have created. Therefore, I'm also happy with this world. Let me give you an example. If you want to invite a very pious person to your home, what should you do? You should clean your home and don't bring bad people to your home. If you bring to your home drug dealers and those who do gambling and who are drunk, and those, for example, who bring dirty things with themselves, that pious, pure person would not come to your heart, to your home. Heart is the same. Or if we have bad akhlaq, again, Allah would not come to a heart which has bad akhlaq. So the first step is takhliya, to evacuate our heart from anything which is not compatible with love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you so much, Sheikh.
You are welcome.
Very important night. That will conclude our program for this evening. I'd like to ask Brother Hadi Al Khafaji to please recite the adhan.
Inshallah. Bless you.
الحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله